It looks like Overwatch League has leaked the launch date of Overwatch 2, and it's actually in 2022, around early to late summer. All right, guys, welcome to the channel. So I want to go over this in this video because we've had a lot of leaks recently about when is Overwatch 2 coming out. Of course, we had the leak from a few days ago, which actually pointed towards Overwatch 2 coming out in 2023. Now, if that was to be true, the game would absolutely collapse. Overwatch League would be done. Everything would be done, and that is just absolutely ludicrous. So I still hope that that isn't the case and it will come out next year. But we've actually got some evidence here from inside of the Overwatch League. Now, before we get stuck into that, I do kind of just want to talk about the sponsor situation with Overwatch League. Now, if you guys remember in the recent video I made specifically on Overwatch League, they had a lot more sponsors than they do now. They've got Xfinity, who remain, who are, of course, a Comcast company, and Comcast do own the Philadelphia Fusion. So, yeah, they're still involved. Coca-Cola, Bobby Kotick is on the board of Coca-Cola, although they did say they are stepping back. But they clearly haven't stepped back that much because they've still got their logo on the website. Although it must be said, they're not actually advertised on the Overwatch League broadcast. In fact, the only company who are advertising on the Overwatch League broadcast is TeamSpeak. So weirdly, TeamSpeak is still there and they haven't made any kind of statement, and it doesn't look like they're stepping back from anything that's going on. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about that before we get stuck into the Overwatch League leak with Overwatch 2 launch date is because this is happening next year. Check this out. So this is by Yiska, absolute legend of the Overwatch scene, especially of the competitive Overwatch scene and Overwatch League and before that. Extremely knowledgeable reporter, awesome guy, legend. And he's wrote this article for GG Recon, and it says Overwatch League has to go on potential year-long hiatus before Season 5. So this got me thinking, well, if it's going for a year, then this probably means that 2023 is going to be the launch date of Overwatch 2 then, right? Because if Overwatch League just completely misses out the 2022 season completely and then just comes back for 2023, kind of makes sense, right? The league is in shambles at the moment. It's lost all of its sponsors effectively. It needs a massive sort of kick up the arse to get it going again. And that big kick is going to be Overwatch 2, right? But actually, check this out. As we read through this article, we actually see that, no, maybe that isn't the case after all. So this is what it says. According to multiple sources within the Overwatch League, the league office has told teams that the 5th season of Overwatch League is going to be delayed past its usual starting point in the first half of the year. Sources are dating the suggested start of the league in late summer at the earliest, with its likely starting point being mid-fall. And this is the thing. Look at that. So if it's mid-fall towards the end of the year that the league is going to start, is that a launch date for Overwatch 2? And does that mean that the end of this year we'll get a PvE update from the developers potentially, going into a beta period, which is going to roll out in sort of February next year. And then they've got like February, March, April, May, June, July, August, sort of going into September to launch the game. So they've got like a 6 or 7 month period to finish polish, to deal with the beta and then launch the game. Maybe that's the case. Yiska does actually go on to say, the reason given to the teams is a delayed launch of Overwatch's sequel, Overwatch 2, with the league, which the league wants to play next year's season on. Whether or not this clearly dates the release of Overwatch 2 in that time frame is currently unknown. But I would say it looks quite known, to be honest, based off that, because the reason given to the teams is a delayed launch of Overwatch's sequel, Overwatch 2. So confirmation a little bit there that Overwatch 2 has been delayed in its launch window, but that it's probably going to launch in 2022 just before Overwatch League starts again. So this is actually targeting a late 2022 launch for Overwatch 2. And I think that is seriously that is the only point. I mean, that's the cutoff point, right? You go any further than that and you are really taking the piss with the launch of the game. Now, we don't know how far along Overwatch 2 is in development. We do know that an internal important milestone or an important internal milestone has been met recently. What that is, we don't know. Whether that's the completion of the single-player element of the game, whether that's just the finalization of systems, we don't know. Whether it's to do with the rebalance of all the heroes, we just don't know. Let me just carry on reading this article, though. With potentially a year-long break between the end of Overwatch League Season 4 and Season 5, sources in team positions have shared with GG Recon that at least some teams are looking to not renew existing contracts with their rosters, citing a lack of competitions within that time frame. Some teams have also informed their players of said possibility at the time of writing. Now, this gives a bit more clarity to the whole article title, that a year-long hiatus. So think of it this way. Overwatch League finishes in a couple of months, and then it goes away for a year and comes back the same time it basically starts the same time it finishes next year, if that makes any sense. So it is a year away, not just looking at it as 2022 and 2023, as we might potentially look at it. So this is basically saying that all these players, yet again, are going to have their careers thrown into disarray through the fact there'll just literally be no Overwatch League. Like, why would you pay the salaries of players if they can't actually compete in any competitions? This has always been the issue with Blizzard and with the Overwatch League. They control everything, and there is only one official Overwatch esport competition, and it is Overwatch League. If that walks away for a year, well, then you can't do anything. There's no third-party tournaments, which I've always found to be absolutely crazy. Like, imagine if, you know, you had the likes of ESL, you had the likes of Blast, and all these other third-party providers given the chance next year to run Overwatch competitions. Maybe that would be cool. I don't know. But the big issue here is Overwatch 2. You're not going to start an Overwatch League season on Overwatch and then swap halfway through the season to Overwatch 2. And it looks like that's probably what would happen if they carried on playing as they normally do with the start times for Overwatch League. So if they start early in the year and then it starts coming towards, it's close towards the end of the year, and that's when Overwatch 2 is meant to be launching next year. Again, this is all hypothetical. This is based off this article and based off leaks that are coming out of Overwatch League, but it would seem to indicate that Overwatch 2 is going to launch towards the end of 2022. You'd have overlap there, right? You can't play Overwatch and then suddenly completely change the rule set and go to Overwatch 2. It wouldn't make any sense. And also, you wouldn't keep playing Overwatch if Overwatch 2 came out. Again, it wouldn't make any sense. And they also need, and this is the big one, they need the power of the launch, the horrific marketing assault, which I've no doubt will come for Overwatch 2, and just the complete kick up the arse Overwatch 2 is going to give the community and everyone involved in Overwatch. And then you attach Overwatch League to it. It's our only hope, really. They can't just keep leaving Overwatch League and expecting it to do well. It's not going to do well on its own. It needs that push from Overwatch 2 launch. So I think this actually is pointing towards the launch, guys, is going to be next year. But I think we again can work out from this bits and pieces inside of, well, not bits and pieces inside of, but we can work out sort of the direction things will go if there's going to be a beta or a beta for Overwatch 2, which I presume there's going to be. We know there's going to be some sort of communication from the developers fairly soon, probably towards the end of the year. This was all put forward in the PowerPoint presentation for the earnings report of Q2 Activision Blizzard. We know that internal milestones have been met. We know that they showed us PvP earlier in the year. So it makes sense they'd show us PvE. And then what happens going into next year has to be looking at a beta period. Now, I can get sort of, again, with my copium and my hopium, I'm huffing this stuff like crazy. Maybe at the end of this year, now I think this is probably wishful thinking, maybe that's when the beta opens up. Maybe there is some sort of specific beta test that does some sort of PvE style stuff. Maybe it isn't a developer showcase. It's just straight up, look, guys, this is the game. It's available. Go and play it. Tell us what you think. And then we can start getting onto the Overwatch 2 train. But I probably would say that if things hold true, we're not getting a BlizzCon this year. So there's no update that's needed from the developers. They will give us some sort of update in the next few months, probably on PvE. And then going forward into next year, so if we're looking at February time, then maybe we start seeing the beta open up for Overwatch 2. And then that gives them like a 5-month period from that date to sort of get ready for the launch, which is probably going to be around September-ish, if it's very late summer, sort of fall or autumn, as we call it in the UK, around about those kind of dates. And I think that makes sense, doesn't it, guys? This is a much more reliable way to work out the launch date of Overwatch 2 than like various leaks from places that don't really have any credibility. Now, this leak could have zero credibility as well. Yiska could have been sent information which doesn't make any sense, or it's false. We don't know. But I trust Yiska, and I think he's good at what he does. So I think this is a pretty solid source. And again, it would make sense, right? I think this totally makes sense. You are not going to launch Overwatch League without Overwatch 2 next year, and you need new sponsors, so you need that hype from the game. If you don't have that, you're going to suffer. So it just looks like it's complete shutdown. Overwatch League, when it finishes in a couple of weeks, that's it. It's gone, and it won't come back until Overwatch 2 comes out, which is towards the end of 2022, we think. And I hope. I'll just finish reading the article off, guys. So he says the decision has already been communicated to teams several weeks ago, being dated before the most recent scandal in regards to cultural issues within Blizzard offices, and thus unlikely to be connected. The Overwatch League has recently been in the news due to a lawsuit by the California Department of Fair Employment, alleging that women have been sexually harassed and given unequal pay, fueled by a frat boy culture within the Blizzard offices. As a result, the lawsuit and the public backlash, multiple sponsors pulled out of the Overwatch League. They did also reach out to Overwatch League, but they didn't get a response. So yeah, I don't know. This is interesting stuff, isn't it, guys? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I think we could be looking at the first solid evidence here of a release date for Overwatch 2. All right, guys, thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.